Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Well, hello. Guess what today is? It's Tuesday. Hello, Catherine. It's good to have you here. And I know that there's other people there, so just don't be a stranger. Say hello. These glasses, my goodness, they're pretty bad. Anyway, hi Jeanette. There she is. It's so good to have you here. Tuesdays are great days because we get to sit around and chew the fat a little bit and talk about what's going on. Lisa, hello. Good to have you here. And I always choose topics based on, what I'm doing in my own life, right? Jocelyn, hi. And I always figured, if I'm struggling with this, I'm going to bet that you might be too. And you like this pink? Thanks. Guess what? Pickleball shirt. Yes, it is. Of course it is. I still have my sweaty bra on. So, hey, usually I take it and throw it against the wall. No, I don't. I take it and throw it out though. That's usually pretty nasty. But as soon as I got home, walked the dog, came in here, prepared for the show. And I said, you know what? I can do a shower later. It works that way, right? It does. So anyway, back to the whole thing. I've been having I've been having a talk with myself. Did you talk to yourself? Anybody? Pinky's up if you're a talker to yourself. I think it's a great thing, by the way. Linda, hi. And I have been talking to myself about being resilient, about being strong, about being courageous, about not shrinking away and standing up and facing all the stuff I have to face. Because I will tell you right now, every single person on the planet that I know that holds on to and goes through their stuff ends up winning in the end. Am I right? They do. Because how often do we quit on ourselves? How often do we say, it's just not for me, Because I always wonder, what is it? Do we expect that it's just going to be smooth sailing all the way and that there's never going to be an hiccup or an upset? It's just not realistic. That's not what life is about. And so today I want to just talk a little bit about resilience, and I've got a big, fat, juicy show for you. Let's just go with that. So buckle up. It's going to take some doing. Meanwhile, Carb Cutter, I love this stuff. By the way, there's a dude on TikTok who's telling you to eat all these white kidney beans, right? And I'm just saying, and I wanted to say in the comments, I did not do it. Don't eat the white kidney beans unless you want to be farting your fanny off. Sorry, but that is the truth. And he's having you eat them like 3 times a week. And that's just a lot of white kidney beans. And the reason why is white kidney bean extract, which is precisely what is in our Carb Cutter, will make it so that the amylase is not going to break down those starches into sugars. And they go undigested through your system. That's why they're magic, right? I have all kinds of ideas and all kinds of ways to blot out the impact of high sugar stuff. Like, for example, pasta. One of the things that you can do for pasta, if you're just like hankering for some pasta, well, first of all, always measure it out after you think that that's a cup, that's 2 cups. We need to know how much we're eating. That's 1. 2, cook it the day before and refrigerate it the night and overnight. You know why? That's going to turn it into resistant starch, and the impact is going to be so much better. And the third thing is you take your Carb Cutter and watch how much easier it is for your body to deal with that and not turn that into fat causing, that's all it does. It's just if you have too much sugar, it just makes fat. That's what it does. Your body thinks you need it. That's our BOGO, by the way. If you buy one carb cutter, we will send you a second one free. And I will tell you what, if you understand the science behind it, then yes, ma'am, you're all aboard. Number one. Number two is if you're doing the tricks that I'm telling you about, it is not going to impact you the way that you think. So you can do this on occasion. Who wouldn't want to, right? I make a salmon bowl that has rice in it. Now I lessen the impact of the rice by making half cauli rice and also refrigerating my rice and taking my carb cutter. Can you see where I'm going here? So I get the benefit of the carbs and the energy value from the carbs, which I need because of all the exercise and everything that I do, but I don't get the impact. So that's what I'm telling you about. savingdinner.com/carb cutter. Go get it. I just think to me, it's like a no-brainer. How can you not have this in your arsenal? How can you not? You have to have this. It works. And by the way, I'm going to give you the facts here. Take 3, not 2. I'm just saying 3 is more impactful. The new study just came out talking about how impactful kidney bean extract is, and 3 will give you the dosage that it'll be more impactful. So there you are. And now that you're buying one and getting one free, how can you not? All right, I'm done preaching on that. June 24th, that's this Monday, y'all. We're doing our sprint webinar. And you go to savingdinner.com/sprint webinar. Do you know why? Because we're going to be going over the sprint stuff again. We do it every month. And I do it to give you an opportunity to reset, to clean up some stuff and reset. Because we all need that. We all need a chance to say, you know what, clear the decks, it's time. And that's what the Hot Melt Sprint does. It's easy, it's free, and so is the webinar. And I want you there. Go to savingdinner.com/sprint webinar. I promise you, you're going to see some friends there. We always have a good crowd, and it's the chatter. The chat is really fun, and so love it. Anyway, I so hope that you'll be there. The quote of the week is going to blow you away. I almost did the show today was almost on courage, which is funny because the quote, why having been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion, do we then live as mice? That is such a good question. It also leads to the place of, are you quitting too early? Are you saying you can't do it? Are you saying you're too overwhelmed? Are you saying a lot of things to yourself that simply are not true and holding you back from living that courageous life? You have been endowed with an incredible amount of courage, believe it or not. And courage is something that's inside each one of us, and it needs to be developed, as does resilience. As does resilience. And I want to talk about why this is all so very, very important. Because if we don't develop this resilience, that's inside all of us. Because you know, if you've given birth to a child, you are resilient as heck. Am I right? That wasn't easy. That was not easy. But I will tell you this. That type of resilience, I'm sorry, we have all these people dinging me right now. I want to quit this. Quit. Stop. Just stop. Okay, I don't know. I'm trying to get it to stop. But if you have resilience inside, if you have ever tasted resilience, and you have if you've given birth, you've tasted resilience if you have persevered with a toddler who wasn't going to get up off the floor in Target. You have tasted resilience if you've stayed with your husband through the thick and thin of just awfulness. You know what I'm talking about. You know what resilience is. But yet, when it comes to ourselves, what do? We quit on ourselves. We don't give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We don't give ourselves this idea or this notion that we have the capacity to persevere, to get through the rough stuff, and to come out on the other side of it that much better. We don't. Anne Hart is here, by the way. Hi, Anne. But, resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. That's what it is. And the toughness to stay the course. That's what resilience is. And I love this. This is something that I found in online about resilience. It's the ability of a substance or an object to spring back into shape. And we do this, after we give birth to a child, for example. We do this after we get through something rough, but we're even tougher. This is elasticity. And we all need this. We need this within our spirit, because the spirit of who we are and what we are and why we're even here in this first place is the thing that is going to push us to the next level. It is. It's the thing that's going to push us to the next level, because if we allow this to shape who we are and what we're about, then we're going to realize this in the next challenge that comes around, because we have the experience of being resilient. So there's a Dr. Ginsburg, a pediatrician. He developed this assessment for children on resilience. And I think that this applies across the board to every single human. And they're all C's, right? Competence, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing is competence. How do I handle this stressful situation? And I want to bring you to this place of understanding that when we're like asked by the situation to be competent, we need to ask ourselves, what do I need in order to break through to the other side of this bad situation? What skills do I need? What communication do I need? Do I need to say something? Do I need to not say something? These are things that we need to ask ourselves. Now, keep in mind, this is something that you need to, these are resilience traits for children, but how many people, adults, do you know who have no skills for competency when it comes to these kind of a thing? Their communication skills lack, and they don't know when to shut their mouths or when to speak up. Now, these are critical, because these are the things that are going to help us to start with, number one, assessing the situation in the first place so that we can get through it. Resilience is, like I said, it is in you. It just seriously needs to be developed. We all have it. And then there's connection. We have a stronger sense of security and belonging when we're in a place of community, don't we? Have you noticed that? It feels good. I love seeing Tanya's updates. I love seeing people pop in and say, here I am, this is what I'm doing. And I always wonder, like, where did so-and-so go and where are they? And then when somebody pops back in, I'm always so happy to reconnect with them. Aren't you? Well, that is also easier for all of us to be resilient when we sense that we belong. Not just for children, but for adults as well, because that is our community. The other thing is confidence. When you believe in your abilities and your competency, you'll notice that you have these particular strengths that come out and will protect you, will save you, will help you. We have all of those things. We have them, and they stand out, not just to you, but to others as well. And guess what else that does? That builds confidence. It teaches you to hold your tongue at a proper time or speak up when necessary. It gives you this idea that, this might be tough, this might be hard, but I'm going to see it through. I'm going to get to the other side of this. And then character, we have to have a sense of character. This is right and this is wrong. This is what you want to do and this is what you don't want to do. These are my boundaries. If we live a life with no boundaries and anybody can run over us, I promise you they'll be lined up outside of your door waiting to drive the truck over you. They will. There are people in this world who live to take advantage of other people. It just is. And yet, it can't happen if we say no. Or we can't bring in the right people if we're always saying yes to the wrong ones or yes to the wrong opportunities or whatever it is. One of the things that I say, and you know this because this has been part of my whole thing, is that life is always working out for me, even when it feels bleak, even when it's hard, even when it's rough, even when things aren't going exactly the way I want them to go. I still believe that things are always going my way and life is always working out on my behalf. I believe that with all my heart. There's lessons here for me to learn. Are there lessons there for you to learn as well? Are you looking for the lesson? This is what shapes our character. This is what helps us to become not only the queen of our own lives, but also an influence to those maybe little ones who are watching, or an influence or a leader within our community. It's important. Your character does matter. And who you are is always going to show up way before anything you say. Words are easy. Your actions and the way that you show up and how you show up, that's what matters, because your character is the thing that shines through. And then there's a contribution. The world can simply be a better place if everybody decides to contribute something. It doesn't have to be a lot of things. It just needs to be something. You are here on purpose and for purpose, and you've heard me say it, I don't know, 5 million times. But that is a contribution in and of itself, that your purpose is going to come together with you doing good work. It just will. It's a promise. This is a promise. This is the difference between burying your talents in the backyard and bringing them out and investing them. You get to do this when you're investing your time and not sticking your face in your phone. You get to do this when you've made a decision to be wiser with your time and your energy and your money and your friendships and your relationships. We get to up level these things just by making this, understanding this idea that is all about contribution, because you're here on purpose and for purpose. Therefore, there's a contribution to be made. Isn't that exciting? When I was taking care of my mom, I was doing some stuff with Meals on Wheels, and it was very difficult for me to balance everything. But I kind of pulled back a little bit, and I realized at that time that my contribution to the world was taking care of my mom. My contribution was saying to people in my life that she takes priority, because I won't have her that much longer. I knew what was up and I knew what it was about. But these are the things that we do. That was a season in my life. I raised children. That was a season in my life. And but that all had great purpose. And now I'm in a season in my life where my great purpose is I want to touch every woman on the planet over a certain age who's feeling like they're not seen anymore. I want her to live in full bloom. I want her to understand that she has the capacity for all of that. That's where I am right now. That's my purpose. It's my mission. And that's where we are. And that's why you're here. So we just need to look at what all of these things are. How does this fit into the equation of what our lives are about? How does this create resilience in my life? Well, it creates resilience because I have that plumb line of purpose. And then coping, coping is part of the resilience skill set, because we have to cope with the disappointment of things not going exactly the way that we want. We have to hone in on some skills that are going to help us to cope. Stress reduction, journaling, meditation, walking, all of these things can totally do. People, can you all leave me alone? Leave me alone. Okay, decline. Everybody wants to talk to me today. All right. And then we have to realize that we ultimately have control over how resilient we are and how resilient we're not. Ultimately, we do. So we can have control over our decisions because we have to remember that the choices that we made are ultimately decisions, and that we don't need to vent, by the way, like out of control 3-year-olds. I don't know who thought that that is going to help. But what that does is underscore over and over and over and over again the the problem without even touching on the solution. I understand, it just, I'm a little frustrated, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, get it out. Now, let's look at what the solution is. A long time ago, therapy, remember that? Anybody who's ever done it? But a long, 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 long time ago in therapy, I was told that, don't fix the problem. This is, they're talking to the man, of course. Do not fix the problem, just listen to her. And I get that to a degree. I get that to a degree because, and I'm going to, if all of our conversations are just bitch fests without having any kind of inkling toward looking toward a solution, what's the point? Am I right? It's true. Because otherwise you're just sitting there going, wah, 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 and then, rah, 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 and then, burp, 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 burp. Okay, we all, the venting to me is like, okay, if you've ever had a pressure cooker, you take the vent and you just psh, just for a minute, right? It doesn't take a long time. It doesn't psh for 45 minutes, you know? We can't do that. We have to really pull it in because at the end of the day, our energy is part of this whole resilience package. And if we are spewing our energy out onto the problem instead of putting all of that energy that we can put onto the solution, we're losing big time. So we have to, we have to realize, yeah, we all have a breaking point. Nobody is resilient as steel. No one. We can, we have to look at how we can do this. But we also have to look at the fact that we have the ability to thrive, even though we are being put into a place that makes it hard. We have to realize that. But we just have to cultivate a more positive mindset that, yes, we can handle this. And yes, we're going to go through this. And yes, there's an answer to this somewhere. One of the things that I'll tell you, this has really helped me so very much, is like when I sit down with a paper and a pad, and I've shown you this before. Have I done? Yeah, I have done this. And what I'll do is I will put a pro on one side, a con on the other. Here you go. That's pretty garbagey. But you can see, so you got pro on one side, you've got con on the other side. And I will write all the pros of doing one thing. And then on the other side, I'll write all the cons of, the con of if I did that, what's the con to it? Because it helps to unpack what's between your ears so that you can start looking at things a little more logically. We get all tussled about in our heads otherwise. We have so much stuff in there. I always say it's just like, it's like, where's the beginning of the spaghetti? It's like the spaghetti in the strainer. And you're going, where's the beginning of this whole thing? And what can you pull apart? What can you even tell what's going on? We need this. We need to be able to see on paper what the heck is going on, because oftentimes what's going on between our ears doesn't even make sense. We're just trying to merely survive it because that's what our brain is telling us to do. Just survive this. Just get over it. Just get through this. And what I'm telling you is what your prefrontal cortex is saying. Hold the phone. You know what? We can do better than just survive. Let's take this apart. Let's take a look at it. Is there an expert that we can contact? Is there somebody that we admire and we want advice from? Right? Is there something that can help with all of this? Is there, and we have to look at that. When we start to do that, we recognize and see that maybe the problem isn't quite as great, or maybe it's a little bit more chopped up into pieces and easier to handle. Or maybe what we need to do is we need to start making some phone calls and be proactively involved in the solving of this. This is what resilience helps us to do. Resilience gives us that taste of courage. It gives us a taste of what it feels like to be the queen of our own lives. Because I will tell you, being the queen of your own life requires resilience. We cannot be easily shaken. We cannot be taken down with just, oh, it's too hard, I can't, I'm overwhelmed, and blah, blah, blah. We can't check out like that. Because when we do that, we are saying no to a vibrant life. We have to stay the course. Now, I mean, not everything. I mean, of course, there are things where you have to quit and you have to just, I mean, if you're in an abusive relationship, where it's just awful, I mean, don't stay. Of course not. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying about just things that we have to go through. Going to the gym, being resilient about just doing the things that you need to do, being resilient about making those choices and staying strong with those choices and not falling apart. We can do these things. And when we choose the hard thing and we follow through with it, guess what happens? I just want you to think about what happens when you do that. Everything changes. You start to become the queen of your own life. You start to become stronger and stronger because that strength builds on top of each other. It's that simple. So, I've got a whole lot more. You'll see it all you're going to see a bunch of stuff in the show notes that I did not do today because it just got busy. I just got busy. Plus my dinging. Boy, I've got to figure out how to leave these conversations. Leave me alone, people. There's 19 these are 19 text messages. Crazy. All right. That's all I have for you today. But don't forget, we have the sprint webinar coming up. We have the I want you there. It's going to be good. We have the carb cutter. I told you why about the carb cutter. Is that just sound like so fabulous? savingdinner.com/carb cutter. And then don't forget, there's so much other stuff coming up. Watch our emails. Good stuff on the way. Okay? Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.